Hi everyone, welcome to Go Classes. In this session, we will continue our discussion of combinatorics complete summary. This is combinatorics complete summary part 8. If you want to watch part 1 to part 7, then you can find the link in the description, also in the pinned comment. If you want to watch complete discrete mathematics, all summary lectures, GATE PYQ lectures and practice lectures, then you can find this playlist. You can search on YouTube, you can search Go Classes discrete mathematics, and this playlist will you can find, and you can watch this full playlist. The link of this playlist you can find in the description, also in the pinned comment. The next topic in combinatorics that we need to study, that is inclusion exclusion principle. In short, we will call it IEP. So let's study what is this inclusion exclusion principle. The idea of inclusion exclusion principle is basically that it is a tool to find the number of elements in the union of finite number of sets. If you have finite number of sets like 2 set, 3 set, 4 set, 5 set, like that, then if we want to find the number of elements in the union of these finite number of set, then we can use inclusion exclusion principle. For example, if we want to find the number of elements in union of 2 set, or if we want to find the number of elements in union of 3 set, and so on, then we can use the inclusion exclusion principle. So this is a tool to find the number of elements in union of a finite number of sets. Let's see how to find the number of elements in union of two set. If we have two set, let's assume we have set A comma B. So these are the two set that we have, set A comma B. Let's assume this is the set A and this is the set B. Now we want to find how many elements are there in the union of two set A comma B. Basically our target is to find the number of elements in A union B. Or I can write like this, that cardinality of A union B. What this basically means, this means number of elements in A union B. So this is our target. We want to find how many elements are there in this A union B, means total in this A comma B, total how many elements are there. Now just think about it. If I do number of elements in A plus number of elements in B, then number of elements in A plus number of elements in B, then can I say this is the correct answer? No, this is not the correct answer, because remember, if I do number of elements in A plus number of elements in B, then here, when I do this number of elements in A, then basically this area, look at this area, let me call it area number 1. Okay, and let's assume that this area, let me call it area number 2, and let's assume that this area, let me call it area number 3. So you can see that when I do this number of elements in A, then basically this area number 1 and area number 3, these elements I have counted. Okay, yes or no? These elements which are in the area number 1, also these elements which are in the area number 3, these elements I have already counted here. Now when I find the number of elements in B, then also you can see this area number 2 elements, and these elements in the area number 3, these also we have counted. So if you notice one thing, these elements which are in the area number 3 and this area number 3, what is this area? This is basically A intersection B area. These are the common elements of A comma B. So this is the area, this is the intersection area. Now you can see that when I do this number of elements in A plus number of elements in B, then this area number 3, these elements that are common in A comma B, these elements I have counted 2 times. You can see this area number 3 elements I have counted here also, and the elements of area number 3 I have counted here also. So these elements I have counted 2 times, but I just want to count all the elements only one time. Yes or no? Every element I want to count exactly one time. So what I need to do, because these elements of intersection I have counted 2 times, so I need to remove them one time. Okay, so what I will do, I will remove these elements which are in the intersection one time. So that's it. Now you can easily see that this is our number of elements in A union B. This is the correct expression for number of elements in A union B. I hope you understood. So you can see this is area number 1, and you can see this is area number 2, and area number 3, that is basically the intersection area. So this is the formula that we got if we want to find the number of elements in the union of two set. Very easy. Now we can understand this same formula in another way. So let me tell you, we have two set A comma B. Now we want to find the number of elements in A union B, means basically these total number of elements here in this area, this is what we want to find out. So if I do this, if I write this equation, then what we have counted in this expression, you can see number of elements in A plus number of elements in B. Here you can see this area, how many times we have counted. This area we have counted only one time. You can see, because these elements I did not count here. When I am counting the number of elements in B, then these elements I did not count. I did not count here. So you can see that these elements I have only counted here. So I can say that these elements I have counted one time. Let me write one. It simply means that I have counted these elements one time. I've counted. Okay. And you can see how many times I have counted these elements. These elements I have counted only one time when I was counting the number of elements in B. Then these elements I have already counted, and only I counted only one time. So here also I can write one time, that okay, these elements I counted one time. But now you focus on this area. These elements, how many times I counted? These elements, these common elements of A comma B, I have counted when I counted the number of elements in A. Also these elements I have counted when I counted number of elements in B. So basically these elements, remember, I have counted here also and I have counted here also. Okay. So that is the reason I can say that these common elements, let me tell you, these common elements we have counted total two times. Okay. So let me write it here, that these common elements I have counted two times. Okay, but remember, in this A union B, I just want to count all the elements only one time. So what I need to do, very simple, because these common elements I have counted two times, so I need to remove them one time. Okay, so what I will do, I will do minus A intersection B. Okay, because this is the area of intersection, this is the intersection area. So you can see these elements I will remove one time. Now what happens, now this count I have made it one time, yes or no? Now you can see, okay, because I have already done the minus of this A intersection B elements. Okay, so you can see now this is one time. Now you can see all the areas have been counted one time, or I can say in this A union B all the elements have been counted exactly one time. So this is the expression for number of elements in A union B. Very simple, I hope you understood. Okay, so this is the final formula, that number of elements in union of two set, if you have two set A comma B, then the number of elements in A union B, I can write like this, that cardinality of A union B, or I can say size of A union B, that is number of elements in A union B, that will be equal to number of elements in A plus number of elements in B minus number of common elements. Okay, very simple. I hope you understood. This is called inclusion exclusion principle. Why? Because you can see first we are including. Okay, you can see first we are including and then we are excluding. So that is the reason this is called inclusion exclusion principle. Okay, first we are including, then we are excluding. Very simple. So this is the formula. So you can see, when I count number of elements in A plus number of elements in B, then basically these common elements I have counted two times. So what I need to do, I need to remove them one time. So you can see in this expression, number of elements in A plus number of elements in B minus number of common elements. Now you can see that all the elements of A union B we have counted one time. These elements also one time, these all elements also one time, and these elements also one time. So this is the formula for number of elements in A union B. Let's solve this question. Let us consider a class in which 20 students study algebra, 25 students study probability, 8 students study both. If we ask how many of the students study either algebra or probability, then what is going to be the answer? Let me tell you, the question is asking that how many students will study either algebra or probability. Okay, I want to make one point very clear, that when you see this statement either P or Q, then what it means? It basically means that P or Q or both. Okay, so remember, whenever you see this statement either P or Q, it basically means that either P or Q or both. And when you see this statement either P or Q but not both, then it is very clear that here we will count P, Q but not both. Okay, so this is very simple, that P or Q but not both. If you remember, in mathematical logic, we study that this either P or Q, this is basically inclusive OR. We write like this, P or Q. And in mathematical logic, in propositional logic, we study that this either P or Q, but not both. We write it like exclusive or P XOR Q. But simple point I want to tell you that either P or Q, this statement basically means P or Q or both. Okay. Now let's come back to this question. We are saying that either algebra or probability. What it simply means, either algebra. Okay, let me write it algebra AL. Okay, or I can say algebra or probability. Okay, what it simply means, either algebra or probability. This simply means that either algebra or probability or both. Okay, or both. This is what the question is asking. Okay, either algebra or probability or both. So let me tell you that this is what this statement means. This is the meaning. Okay, now very easily you can find it. You can see these are the students who study algebra. How many students are there? 20 students. They study algebra. So let me write it like this. And you can see that there are 25 students who study probability. So probability is studied by 25 students. And you can see that there are 8 students who study both. Means there are total 8 students in this common area who study algebra as well as probability. So let me write it A. 8. Okay, so you can see here these are the intersection elements. These are the elements which study algebra as well as probability. So I can say these are basically algebra intersection probability size. Number of elements in algebra intersection probability, that is basically 8. Now the question is asking how many elements are there who study either algebra or probability. Then basically the question is asking for union. This is what the question is asking. Okay, so you can see number of students who study either algebra or probability, that is basically algebra union probability size. Okay, very simple. So that will be equal to number of students who study algebra plus number of students who study probability minus number of students who study both algebra as well as probability. You can see number of students who study algebra, that is 20, number of students who study probability, that is 25, minus number of students who study both, that is given to you 8. So this will be the final answer for this question. Now let's see inclusion exclusion principle for 3 set. So far we have seen inclusion exclusion principle for 2 set. Now we need to find what is the number of elements in the union of 3 set. So let me take 3 set here. You have set A, there is set B, and there is set C. So let's assume that these are the 3 set. Okay, and what we need to find, we need to find how many elements are there in A union B union C. Okay, how many elements are there? What is the formula for the number of elements in A union B union C? Basically we want to find total how many elements are there in these set A comma B comma C. Okay, how many elements are there in this union? This is what we need to find. Okay, so first what will come to your mind? It is very simple that okay, find number of elements in A plus number of elements in B plus number of elements in C. So let's see, if I do this number of elements in A plus number of elements in B plus number of elements in C, if I write this expression, then which elements we have counted how many times? Let's see this. You can see by this expression, number of elements in A plus number of elements in B plus number of elements in C, these elements how many times we have counted? These elements we have counted only here, because you can see these elements are only in the set A. These elements do not belong to set B. These elements do not belong to set C. So remember these elements, or I can say this area, we have counted only here. We did not count it here. We did not count it here. So I can say that these elements we have counted only one time here. Okay, so I can write it that these elements I have counted one time. Okay, what about these elements? These elements only belong to B. They do not belong to A comma C. These elements we have counted only here. We did not count these elements here as well as here. Okay, so you can see these elements also we have counted only one time. Similarly, these elements, they only belong to C. They do not belong to A comma B. So these elements also we have counted only one time. So far it is fine. Now, how many times we have counted this area? Only look at this area, only these students, only these elements. So these elements you can see they belong to set A also, set B also. They do not belong to set C. So you can see these elements, these we have counted in the set A also, and these we have counted in the set B also. So these elements we have counted two times. But remember, these elements we did not count in set C because these elements do not belong to set C. So I can say that these elements I have counted two times. So let me write 2 here. That okay, two times I have counted. What about these elements? These elements they belong to set A also and they belong to set C also. So these elements I have counted in here also and here also. So I have counted these elements two times. So let me write it here that I have counted them two times. What about these elements? These elements they belong to set B as well as they belong to set C. So these elements I have counted in set B also, in set C also. So these elements also I have counted two times. What about these elements? These elements they belong to set A also, set B also, and set C also. So you can see these elements actually I have counted in A also, in B also, in C also. So three times I have counted these elements. So let me write here three. That okay, these elements I have counted three times. Okay. So you can see if I write this expression, then some elements I have counted many times. Like these elements I've counted two times, these elements I've counted three times, these elements I've counted two times. I don't want that. I want to count every element only one time. I want to find the number of elements in A union B union C. So I need to subtract something. Okay, because this overcounting I have done, some elements I have counted many times. Okay, so I need to compensate. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me tell you, if I remove from this, if I remove the number of elements in A intersection B, now what will happen? Now just see. Remember, I am removing the number of elements in A intersection B. This is the A intersection B. These elements I am removing one time. Okay, only one time I am removing. So you can see when I remove these elements in A intersection B one time, then what will happen? Now you can see this 2 will become 1, this 3 will become 2. Correct? So very simple point that this 2 I can write it 1 and this 3 I can write it 2. So okay, this will become 1 and this will become 2. Now this is the situation. Very simple. I hope you understood. Okay, but still you can see there is overcounting. Still there are some elements which I have counted many times. So again I need to do some more compensation. So what I will do, let me remove the elements in A intersection C. So you can see this is the A intersection C. These elements let me remove one time. I am removing them one time. You can see minus number of elements in A intersection C. So if I remove these elements one time, then what will happen? This 2 will become 1, this 2 will become 1. Okay, so very simple. This 2 and this 2, okay, let me make them 1, 1. Very simple. Okay, but still you can see that our answer is not perfect. Our formula is not perfect because still these elements I've counted two times. I need to count every element only one time. Okay, so what I will do, remember, let me remove, you can see number of elements in B intersection C. Okay, so you can see these elements in B intersection C. These elements I am removing one time. You can see minus number of elements in B intersection C. So these elements, if I remove one time, then what will happen? This 2 will become 1 and this 1 will become 0. Okay, yes or no? So this 2 will become 1, this will become 1, and you can see this will become 0. Okay, now can I say my formula is perfect? Again, my formula is not perfect because remember, these elements, these common elements of A comma B comma C, these elements are in A also, B also, C also. These common elements of A comma B comma C we have counted only 0 time, means we did not count them. Okay, now you can see this number is 0, means we did not count these elements, but we need to count them because we want to find the number of elements in A union B union C. So these elements we need to count one time. Yes or no? So what I will do, I will add number of elements in A intersection B intersection C. Okay, now what will happen? This 0 will also become 1. Now my formula is perfect because you can see now all the elements of A union B union C, all the elements I have counted only one time. Now there is no overcounting, there is no undercounting. Every element of A union B union C has been counted exactly one time. Okay, so this is the formula finally we got. I hope you understood the proof also. This was an interesting proof. This is the formula for number of elements in A union B union C. Okay, so very interesting formula that if you have set A comma B, comma C, then remember the number of elements in A union B union C, that is basically size of A union B union C, that will be equal to what? Very simple. First you do addition of single set, okay, number of elements in A plus number of elements in B plus number of elements in C, minus what you do, minus, now you remove double minus, okay, so you can see minus the number of elements in A intersection B minus the number of elements in A intersection C minus the number of elements in B intersection C, okay, so we are removing them, and plus 3 plus, okay, single plus double minus and triple plus, so you can see number of elements in A intersection B intersection C, this will be your formula, okay, this is the complete formula that we got. Now there is very interesting point here to remember this formula. Very easy to remember. Basically what we are doing, single plus double minus triple plus. So alternative plus minus is going on. Okay. So I hope you understood the proof of number of elements in A union B union C. I hope you understood the proof of this formula. Okay. This was an interesting proof. Now let's see this inclusion exclusion principle. We have already seen for 2 set, we have already seen for 3 set. Now we can also extend this for 5 set, 6 set, and so on. Okay, so basically let me just give you the conclusion of inclusion exclusion principle of 2 set. Okay, means if I want to find the number of elements in A union B, then what that will be, that is going to be number of elements in A plus number of elements in B. You can see single plus and double minus. Here we only have 2 set, so that's it. This is your formula. And if I want to find the number of elements in A union B union C, okay, means we are finding the inclusion exclusion principle for 3 set. So you can see this number of elements in A union B union C, that will be equal to single plus double minus and triple plus. So you can see it will be like this: number of elements in A plus number of elements in B plus number of elements in C, single plus, minus number of elements in A intersection B minus number of elements in A intersection C minus number of elements in B intersection C. Okay, and you can see plus number of elements in A intersection B intersection C. So you can see single plus double minus triple plus. So alternative plus minus and so on, it will go. You can see inclusion exclusion principle for 4 set. The similar pattern is here also. You can see the number of elements in A union B union C union D, that will be equal to single plus number of elements in A plus B plus C plus D, single plus, then you can see double minus, you can see minus A intersection B, A intersection C, A intersection D, B intersection C, B intersection D, and C intersection D. So you can see double minus, all the double I need to minus. Then you can see triple plus, like A union B, A intersection B intersection C, A intersection B intersection D, A intersection C intersection D, and B intersection C intersection D. So you can see triple plus, and 4 minus, alternative plus minus is going on. You can see single plus double minus triple plus and 4 minus. So this is the pattern: alternative plus minus. Similarly you can create inclusion exclusion principle for 5 set, 6 set, and so on. Okay, this is a very easy concept. I hope you understood this. Let's solve this question: how many integers from 1 to 40, both inclusive, are multiples of 6? Or I can say, how many integers from 1 to 40 are divisible by 6? If an integer is multiple of 6, then I can also call it divisible by 6. These two statements are basically same. Multiple of 6 and divisible by 6. These statements, these are basically same statements. Okay. So let's see how many integers from 1 to 40, both inclusive, means you have to count 1 also, you have to include 1 comma 40 also. Okay, it simply means both inclusive. This simply means that you need to include, or I can say you need to consider, we need to consider 1 comma 40 both. Okay, we need to consider 1 comma 40 as well. Okay, these also we need to consider. So let's see how many integers from 1 to 40. You can see this is, let's make this range. Okay, let's assume this is the integer range I am creating. So here you have 1, here you have 40. Okay, I want to find how many integers in this range are multiples of 6, or which are divisible by 6. So you can see the first value that is divisible by 6 you will get here, that is 6. Okay, you will start from 1, and you can see this is the first value that is divisible by 6. Okay, there is a gap of 6. Now what you will do, you will jump by 6, the next number you will get 12, then again you will jump by 6, the next number you will get 18, then next you will get 24, then next you will get 30, then next you will get 36. Okay, correct. So you can see that what you will do, basically you will jump by 666. Okay, so tell me how many integers from 1 to 40 are divisible by 6? That is 6 only. Okay, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These numbers are divisible by 6. So you can see what is our answer. Our answer is equal to 6. But remember, this same answer you can also write like this, that okay, total 40, from 1 to 40, total 40 elements are there, and how many of them are divisible by 6? Very simple, you will jump by 6, 6, 6, like that. So basically what we need to do, we need to do this 40 divided by 6. But remember, when I do this 40 divided by 6, then this value will be 6 point something something something. Why this 6 point something something something? Because you can see there is some extra space here, some space is remaining. You can see the last value that is divisible by 30, divisible by 6, that is 36. Okay, so you can see here clearly there is some space remaining. Okay, look at this space. So this space is clearly remaining, and because of this dot dot dot, this is coming. Okay, I hope you understood. So when you divide 40 by 6, then basically this 6 point something is coming, and this something is coming because of this extra space, because the last value that is divisible by 6, that is basically 36. So after that 4 more values are there. Okay, so because of that 4 by 6, because of that this extra dot dot is coming. So what we need to do, basically, so here what we need to do to find the correct answer, the correct answer is 6. Okay, the correct answer is 6. So here actually what we need to do, we need to take the floor value, means whatever value comes, like 40 divided by 6, just take the floor value. Floor value means the floor value of 6 point something something, that will be 6. Okay, so that will be 6. Very simple. I hope you understood. Actually, whenever you take the floor value of something like 10.5, then basically this value will be 10. For example, the floor value of 10.9, that also will be 10. The floor value of 10.1, that also will be 10. Basically, what this floor does, this is called floor. What this floor does, it gives you the closest integer less than equal to this value. Closest integer less than equal to this value. You can see the closest integer less than equal to this value, that is 10. The closest integer less than equal to this value, that is 10. So you can see this floor will give you the closest integer less than equal to this value. So okay, if I write like this, then I will get the closest integer less than equal to this value. Okay, for example, if I ask you what is 0.2, then I will get the closest integer less than equal to this value, so that is 0. Okay, very simple point. So here you can see the answer will be 40 divided by 6, floor. I hope you understood. Very simple. Now we can make a formula here. How many integers from 1 to b, both inclusive, you have to consider 1 as well as b. How many integers from 1 to b are divisible by n, or I can say multiples of n? We know that any integer multiple of n, divisible by n, these two statements, these are basically same statement. Now here we have a very simple formula, that okay, from 1 to b, from 1 to b, how many integers are divisible by n? So what you will do, you will jump by n. Yes or no? You are going to jump by n. Anyway, so the formula that you will get, that will be b divided by n, floor value. Okay, so this is the formula. How many integers from 1 to b are divisible by n? This is the value. Okay, so you can see how many positive integers. First of all, let me tell you, when I say positive integer, then 0 is not a positive integer. Positive integer simply means greater than equal to 1. So you can see from 1 to b, both inclusive. We are considering 1 as well as b. So from 1 to b, both inclusive. How many positive integers are divisible by n? That is b divided by n floor. Let's solve this question. How many integers from a to b, both inclusive? We have to consider a comma b both. How many integers from a to b are multiples of n, or I can say divisible by n? Very easily you can find. You know that from 1 to b, notice from 1, I can say like this, that from 1 to b, let's assume that here you have b and here you have 1. Okay, so we already know that from 1 to b, how many are divisible by n? That is equal to b divided by n floor. Okay, now remember, we need to find how many from a to b. So let's assume there is a here. Okay, we need to find how many in this range are divisible by n. So what I will do, very simple, I will find the total from 1 to b, how many are divisible by n, minus I will remove these from 1 to a minus 1, how many are divisible by n. Okay, yes or no, these I will remove. So very simple, that from 1 to b total, how many values, how many integers are divisible by n, this is the value, minus how many integers are divisible by n in this range 1 to a minus 1. So that is a minus 1 divided by n. So that's it. I hope you understood. Okay, so this is the formula to find the number of integers which are divisible by n in this range a to b. So very easily, first you find from 1 to b minus 1 to a minus 1. Okay, so this will be your final value. So let's see this note. How many integers from a to b, both inclusive, are divisible by n? So this value will be, first you find from 1 to b, that will be b by n floor, minus you find from 1 to a minus 1, that will be a minus 1 divided by n floor. This is the value. Let's see another note. How many integers from 1 to b, both inclusive? We have to consider both 1 comma b as well. How many integers from 1 to b are multiples of m and n? So means those integers which are multiple of m as well as multiple of n, or I can say those integers which are divisible by m as well as divisible by n. So here what we need to find, remember, divisible by m and n, it simply means divisible by LCM of m comma n. Okay, so remember, this simply means divisible by LCM of m comma n. You have to find the LCM of m comma n, and this is what the question is asking, that from 1 to b, how many integers are divisible by LCM of m comma n. This is what the question is asking, and the answer will be what? Very simple, b divided by LCM of m comma n floor. Okay, this is the formula, very simple. Let me tell you one note. The LCM of two or more prime numbers, that is always equal to their product, means just multiply them. Okay, so if you have two or more prime numbers, then finding LCM is very easy. All you need to do is just multiply all of them. Similarly, another note, that is, if you have two or more co-prime numbers. What are co-prime numbers? Co-prime numbers means two numbers are co-prime if their GCD is equal to 1, means two numbers are co-prime if other than 1, no one can divide them. Okay, or I can say the only value which can divide both of them, that is 1. Okay, so you can see this is a statement here, this is a theorem, that the LCM of two or more co-prime numbers, if I give you two or more co-prime numbers, then their LCM you can easily find. All you need to do, just multiply them. So you can see the LCM of two or more co-prime numbers is equal to their product, just multiply them, and the LCM of two or more prime numbers is equal to their product, just multiply them. So finding LCM for prime numbers or for co-prime numbers is very simple. We just need to multiply them. And if the numbers are neither prime nor co-prime, then in this situation we have to find the LCM. Okay, which you study in your school life, how to find the LCM. Let's solve this question. How many integers from 1 to 100 are multiples of 2 or 3? We want those integers from 1 to 100 which are either multiple of 2 or they are multiple of 3. So because of this or word, you can apply the inclusion exclusion principle. Okay, so basically what we will do, we will find those which are divisible by 2. Okay, we will also find those which are divisible by 3, and we will find the union, because this question is saying that how many integers from 1 to 100 are multiples of 2 or 3, or I can say divisible by 2 or 3. Multiples of 2 means divisible by 2, multiples of 3 means divisible by 3. So you can see 2 or 3, that is simply like this, that okay, we want to find the union of d2 union d3. Okay, this is what we want to find. You can see basically those numbers which are divisible by 2 or divisible by 3. So we need to find the union. Okay, this is what we need to find, how many elements are there in this area. Okay, and one more thing I want to tell you, here it is not given should I consider 100, should I consider 1. Okay, let me tell you, by default if nothing is given, it simply means inclusive. By default if I tell you that okay, from A to B, then by default it means you have to include A as well as B. Okay, by default you cannot remove A comma B. Okay, so if I tell you from A comma B how many numbers are there, then you have to include A also, you have to include B also. You cannot leave A, you cannot leave B. Okay, is this clear? So by default when I say from A to B, then you have to consider both A comma B also. Okay, so by default here this 1 to 100, this by default simply means both inclusive. So I can say by default it means by default inclusive, both inclusive. Okay, now so let's find how many elements are there, how many integers from 1 to 100 are divisible by 2. Very easy, you can just apply the formula, that is from 1 to 100 how many are divisible by 2, that is 100 divided by 2 floor, that is equal to 50. Okay, and how many from 1 to 100 are divisible by 3, that is basically 100 divided by 3 floor, and that will be equal to 33. Okay, but remember we also have to find the common elements, means we also have to find how many elements, how many numbers from 1 to 100 are divisible by 2 as well as 3. Yes or no, this intersection also we have to find. This intersection, let me call it d2 comma 3. Okay, so what is the size of d2 comma 3? First of all let me tell you what is d2 comma 3. These are basically divisible by 2 as well as 3. Okay, so here this simply means divisible by 2 and 3. In simple words I can say divisible by LCM of 2 comma 3. And what is LCM of 2 comma 3? In simple words I can say divisible by LCM of 2 comma 3. And what is LCM of 2 comma 3? That is 6. So this area, if you look at this area, this is I can say d6, because remember these common elements, these are those integers which are divisible by 6. Okay, so now very easily we can solve this question. We need to find divisible by 2 or divisible by 3. This size we need to find. So that will be equal to number of elements which are divisible by 2 plus number of integers from 1 to 100 which are divisible by 3 minus number of integers from 1 to 100 which are divisible by 2 comma 3 both. Okay, so here I can say number of elements in d2 plus d3 minus, here actually we have to take the LCM. LCM of 2 comma 3, that is equal to 6. Okay, remember here we have to take the LCM of 2 comma 3, and that you already know that is 6. So finally I will get d2, size of d2 plus size of d3 minus size of d6. Okay, we already know what is size of d2 means, how many integers from 1 to 100 are divisible by 2, that we already know, that is 50, we have already found. This also we have found, this was 33. And what will be this value, how many integers from 1 to 100 are divisible by 6, that is basically 100 divided by 6 floor. Okay, so what is this value? I think this value will be 16. So you can easily find the answer will be 50 plus 33 minus 16. This will be our final answer. Okay, so the final answer will be 67. Very simple question. Let's solve this question. How many positive integers Positive integers means greater than equal to 1. 0 is neither positive nor negative. 0 is not a positive integer, remember. So positive integer simply means greater than equal to 1. How many positive integers? Not exceeding 1000 means less than equal to 1000. We should not exceed 1000. We can go to 1000, but we should not exceed 1000. Means we should not go to 1001. 1001. Okay, not exceeding 1000 simply means less than equal to 1000. So you can see how many positive integers not exceeding 1000 are divisible by 2, divisible by 7 or 11. There is or here. So here what we need to do, we need to apply the inclusion exclusion principle. Okay, so the question is very simple. We need to find how many from 1 to 1000, how many integers are divisible by 7 or 11. So very simple, you find how many are divisible by 7, how many are divisible by 11. Okay, and remember how many are divisible by both of them, means how many common elements are there. Common elements are those elements which are divisible by 7 as well as 11. Okay, so you can see divisible by 7 and 11, that is same as divisible by LCM of 7 and 11. If you remember, I told you that when you have prime numbers 7, 11, both are prime number, yes or no. So what is the LCM of two prime number? Remember, 7 is also prime. Here you can see this is also prime and this is also prime. So what is the LCM of prime numbers? LCM of 7, 11, that will be equal to just multiplication. Just multiply them, that will be 77. So finding the LCM of two prime number, that is very simple. You just have to multiply them. So I can say that those elements which are divisible by 7 as well as 11, that will be basically those elements which are divisible by 77. Okay, so here now very easily we can find the answer. We want to find the size of union. Okay, divisible by 7 or divisible by 11, that will be equal to divisible by 7 plus divisible by 11 minus divisible by 77, which is the LCM. Okay, now you can see how many from 1 to 1000. Remember, the question is already saying that, okay, 1 to 1000, including 1, including 1000, including 1 comma 1000. So you can see how many are divisible by 7, that will be equal to 1000 divided by 7 floor plus 1000 divided by 11 floor minus 1000 divided by 77 floor. This will be your answer. You can find these values, that will be the final answer for this question. You can see the final answer here. The final answer will be 220. Let's solve this question. How many integers from 1 to 100 are neither multiples of 2 nor multiples of 9? The question is saying that neither multiples of 2, they should not be multiples of 2, nor and they should not be multiples of 9. Okay, so it is like something like this, that okay, neither in A nor in B. Okay, so that is basically you can apply the De Morgan law. There is something called De Morgan law. We study in the set theory, in the propositional logic, in the Boolean algebra. We study Boolean. We study this De Morgan law. Okay, so that is basically very simple. That if you have A, neither A nor B, that is basically simply that is equal to A or B complement, or I can say that is equal to, I can say, total minus A union B. Okay. See, if you did not understand the De Morgan law, then let me tell you that the question is talking about neither divisible by 2 nor divisible by 9. Okay, so what I can say? I can say not divisible by 2 and not divisible by 9. Okay, so this will be equal to, first you find the total values from 1 to 100 minus you remove those which are either divisible by 2 or divisible by 9 or both, or I can say that basically divisible by 2 union divisible by 9. Okay, remove these elements. Okay, yes or no? Very simple. So basically from the total 100 values, from 1 to 100 there are total 100 elements. So from these 100 elements you remove those elements, you remove those values which are either divisible by 2 or divisible by 9 or both. Then what we will get? We will get those values which are neither divisible by 2 nor divisible by 9. Okay, yes or no? So this is very simple. So let me tell you just this note, that whenever you see this word neither A nor B, neither A nor B. Remember, it simply means that A should not happen and B should not happen. Neither A should happen nor B should happen. And this I can simply say that A or B complement. Okay. In simple words, I can say it will be like something like this, that okay, from total you remove A union B size. Okay. So this is a very simple point. Now, what will be the answer here? What is the total? Total is 100, from 1 to 100, both inclusive. By default, it will be inclusive. When I say from A to B, by default, you have to consider A, comma B also. So you can see total 100 are there from A 1 to 100. So these are total minus. Now, how many values are there in this union? What are the size of this union? That will be, how many are divisible by 2? That will be equal to 100 divided by 2 floor, plus how many are divisible by 9? That will be 100 divided by 9 floor, minus what is the LCM of 2 comma 9? 2 comma 9 both are co-prime. You can see 2 comma 9, they are not prime. 9 is not a prime number, but the point is they are co-prime. Or I can say the only value that can divide 2 comma 9, that is 1. That is the definition of co-prime. Okay, 2 comma 9 are co-prime because their GCD, greatest common divisor, is 1. The only value that can divide 2 comma 9, that is 1. So you can see that whenever you have two co-prime number, then finding the LCM is very easy. Just multiply them. So you can see the LCM of 2 comma 9, that will be 18. Okay, so you can see minus 100 divided by 18 floor. This will be our final answer. You can see from 100 we have to remove this value. That will be the answer. You can see the answer, final answer will be 44. Let's solve GATE IT 2004 question. In a class of 200 students, 125 students have taken programming language course, 85 students have taken data structure course, 65 students have taken computer organization course, 50 students have taken both programming language and data structure, 35 students have taken both programming language and computer organization, 30 students have taken both data structure and computer organization, 15 students have taken all the three courses. How many students have not taken any of the three courses? So this is an inclusion exclusion principle concept. Okay, here we have three set. You can see there is a set of programming language students, set of computer organization students, and set of data structure students. Okay, we just need to apply the inclusion exclusion principle of three set. Very easy question, so let's solve it. First of all, you can see in a class there are 200 students. So let's assume that this is the class. Okay, this is a big class. In this class, let me call it class. In this class there are total 200 students are there. Okay, now the question is saying that 125 students have taken programming language. Okay, so you can see, let's assume these are the students who have taken programming language course, and these are total 125. Okay, next you can see these students have taken computer organization course, and how many students have taken computer organization course? You can see that is 65 students have taken computer organization course. So this is 65, and these many students have taken, let's assume these are the students who have taken data structure course. So how many students have taken data structure course? That is 85. 85 students have taken data structure course. Also the question is saying that 50 students have taken programming language and data structure. So you can see the size of this intersection, programming language, intersection, data structure. What is the size of this intersection? That is given to us, that is 50. Okay. Also you can see that 35 have taken programming language and computer organization. So programming language, intersection, computer organization, what is the size of this intersection? That is 35. And also computer organization, intersection, data structure, that is given in the question 30. 30 students have taken data structure as well as computer organization, and 15 students have taken all the three courses. Means this area, okay, in this area students who have taken all the three courses, I can say that programming, intersection, computer organization, intersection, data structure. How many students? That is 15 students have taken all the three courses. Now the question is asking that how many students in your class have not taken any course? Okay, so very simple. Basically the question is interested to find how many elements are there in this area. This area the question is asking means those students who have not taken any of these three courses. Maybe these students have taken some other course, maybe chemical engineering course, or maybe machine learning course. But the point is, we are interested in these students who have not taken any of these courses. So what we need to do, from the total number of students in this class, we have to remove those students who are in this union. From the 200 students in this class, we have to remove those students who have taken at least one of these courses. Yes or no? Because the question is saying that we want those students who have not taken any of these courses. So very simple, the question is asking us this white area, means not taken any of these courses. So that will be equal to, I can say, not taken programming course, and not taken computer organization course, and not taken data structure course. Okay, these students we want to find. How many students, number of students who have neither taken programming, nor taken computer organization, nor taken data structure. So that will be equal to total, that is 200, minus how many students have taken at least one of these courses, means the size of this union. Okay, so you can see the size of programming union, computer organization union, data structure. Okay, now very easily we can find. So you can see students who did not take any of these courses, means they did not take programming, and they did not take computer organization, and they did not take data structure. This is what the question is asking. Okay, how many students are there, size of this. So you can see this is what the question is asking. How many students have taken neither any, who have not taken any of these courses. So that will be equal to, total is equal to 200 students. These are the total number of students in the class, minus how many students have taken at least one of these courses, programming union, computer organization union, data structure. Okay, now to find this union we can apply the inclusion exclusion principle. Okay, so what this value will be, let's find out. This value will be how many students have taken programming course, plus how many students have taken computer organization course, plus how many students have taken data structure course. So you can see 125 plus 65 plus 85, 125 plus 65 plus 85, single plus. Okay, double minus, we have to remove. Okay, all the double we have to minus. You can see single plus. Okay, and all the double means this programming and data structure 50 students, programming and computer organization 35 students, computer organization and data structure 30 students. So you can see these double we have to minus 50, 35, 30. Okay, so you can see 50, 35, 30. This total we have to minus. Okay, and remember plus, triple we have to plus, means who have taken programming as well as computer organization as well as data structure. So you can see this 15 we have to add. Okay, now this value you have to remove from 200, that will be our answer. Okay, so remember, the final answer you can calculate, but let me tell you, the final answer is like this. The final answer is, from 200 we remove, from 200 what you do, you remove this value, that is like this, 125 plus 65 plus 85 minus 50 plus 35 plus 30 plus 15. Okay, so that's it. This is the final answer. I hope you understood. Okay, let's all get 1995 question. Determine the number of positive integers less than equal to 720 which are not divisible by any of 2, 3 or 5. First of all, the question is talking about positive integers. Positive integers means greater than or equal to 1. 0 is not a positive integer. 0 is neither positive nor negative. So you can see from 1 to 720 both inclusive. We have to include both 1 comma 720. So you can see from 1 to 720 how many integers are not divisible by any of 2, 3 or 5. Means we want those which are not divisible by 2, and they are not divisible by 3, and they are not divisible by 5, because they should not be divisible by any of them. So the question is asking that they should not be divisible by 2, and they should not be divisible by 3, and they should not be divisible by 5. This type of elements I want. Okay, very simple. So you can see, because the question is saying not divisible by any of them, not divisible by 2 and not divisible by 3 and not divisible by 5. So this will be equal to what? This will be equal to total we have 720 elements, 720 integers are there from 1 to 720. So from total, what you do, you remove those integers which are divisible by at least one of them. Yes or no? So you can see from total is already 720. From these 720 integers, we will remove those integers which are divisible by at least one of them. Means either they are divisible by 2, or they are divisible by 3, or they are divisible by 5. Okay. So this is what we are going to do. Very simple. So you can see the total number of integers which are not divisible by any of them, that will be equal to total minus integers which are divisible by at least one of them. Okay, that's it. Now to find this d2 union d3 union d5, to find the size of this union, you can apply the inclusion exclusion principle. Okay, now let me tell you some important points. We have already seen that how many integers from 1 to b, both inclusive, are divisible by n. So this is very simple, that is basically b divided by n floor. Very simple result we have already seen. How many integers from 1 to b are multiples of m and n, means divisible by m and n. So here basically divisible by m and n, that simply means divisible by LCM of m comma n. Okay, divisible by LCM of m comma n. Okay, so how many integers from 1 to b are divisible by m and n? That will be equal to b divided by LCM of m comma n floor. Very simple. Also, I told you that the LCM of two or more prime numbers, that is very simple. You just have to multiply the numbers. Similarly, if you have two or more co-prime numbers, then finding LCM is very simple. You just have to multiply the numbers. So these two results, they tell you that finding the LCM of two or more prime numbers is very simple. We just have to multiply them. And finding the LCM of two or more co-prime numbers is also very simple. We just have to multiply them. So now let's solve this question. So here you can see not divisible by any of 2 or 3 or 5. That will be equal to total minus divisible by 2 or divisible by 3 or divisible by 5. Okay, this size, this union, the size of this union. Okay, so the total is already, you already know, that is 720. And now we have to find this value divisible by 2 or 3 or 5. So here you can apply the inclusion exclusion principle. So how many are divisible by 2? Let me write here quickly that how many are divisible by 2 from 1 to 72. Remember, this is the range from 1 to 720. Okay, so in this range, let's see how many are divisible by 2. That will be 720 divided by 2 floor. Okay, you can see this value will be 360. How many are divisible by 3? That will be 720 divided by 3 floor. Okay, what this value is? This value is 240. Next, how many are divisible by 5? That will be 720 divided by 5 floor. Okay, what this value is, you can easily find. Next, how many will be divisible by 2 and 3? Okay, number of integers which are divisible by 2 comma 3, that is same as divisible by LCM of 2 comma 3. LCM of 2 comma 3. What is LCM of 2 comma 3? Both 2 comma 3 are prime numbers. The LCM of two prime numbers, that is just multiplication of those. Very simple. LCM of 2 comma 3, that is 6. So how many are divisible by 6? That will be equal to 720 divided by 6 floor. You can calculate these values with the help of calculator. Also you can calculate. In the exam, in the GATE exam, there is calculator. If you want, you can calculate very easily. Next, you can see how many are divisible by 2 as well as 5. So that will be equal to divisible by LCM of 2 comma 5, that is 10. So divisible by 10, that is basically 720 divided by 10 floor. That will be 72. Next, you can see divisible by 3 comma 5, that will be equal to the divisible by LCM of 3 comma 5, that is 15. So that will be equal to 720 divided by 15 floor. And one last thing, that is divisible by 2, 3, 5, all of them. Okay, means divisible by 2 also, 3 also, 5 also. So that will be equal to divisible by the LCM of 2, 3, 5. You can see 2, 3, 5, all of them are prime numbers. When you have a list of prime numbers, then the LCM of a list of prime number, that is just multiply them. Okay, so you just multiply them, that will be your LCM. So the LCM is basically 30. So divisible by 30. So how many are divisible by 30? That will be 720 divided by 30 floor. Okay. If you calculate all these values, now you can easily find the answer. Okay, so you can see the answer will be 720 minus. I am just writing this value. This value will be, you can see, you can apply the inclusion exclusion principle. How many are divisible by 2 plus how many are divisible by 3 plus how many are divisible by 5 minus double double minus how many are divisible by 2 comma 3 2 comma 3 minus how many are divisible by 2 comma 5 minus how many are divisible by 3 comma 5. Okay, plus how many are divisible by 2 comma 3 comma 5. Okay, so that's it. All these values we have already found. You can see here all the values we have found. You can just put the values, you can do plus minus something. Okay, just calculate what will be the answer. Remember, 720 minus this value, 720 minus 720 minus this value, that will be the final answer for this 1995 question. I hope you understood. Let's all get 2017 question. The number of integers between 1 to 500, both inclusive, we have to consider both 1 comma 500, that are divisible by 3 or 5 or 7. So we need to find how many integers from 1 to 500 are divisible by 3 or 5 or 7. So here we can just apply the inclusion exclusion principle, because the question is talking about union. Okay, divisible by 3, union divisible by 5, union divisible by 7. Okay, so this is what we need to find. How many integers from 1 to 500 are divisible by 3 or divisible by 5 or divisible by 7. Okay, this is what we need to find. So here we can just apply the inclusion exclusion principle. So what that will be, if you apply the inclusion exclusion principle, that will be equal to how many are divisible by 2 plus divisible by 3. Okay, 3 or 5 or 7. How many are divisible by 3 plus how many are divisible by 5 plus how many are divisible by 7, single plus double double minus, means how many are divisible by 3 comma 5 both, minus how many are divisible by 3 comma 7 both, minus how many are divisible by 5 comma 7 both, plus how many are divisible by 3 comma 5 comma 7, all of them. Okay, so this is the formula, very simple. Single plus double double minus triple plus. Okay, this is the inclusion exclusion principle, you can just apply. Now we have to find all these values. How many are divisible by 3, how many are divisible by 5 in this range, how many are divisible by 3 comma 7, and so on. Okay, so two important results I told you already, that how many integers from 1 to b, both inclusive, are divisible by n, that we already know, that is b divided by n floor. Also we know that how many integers from 1 to b, both inclusive, are divisible by m and n. Divisible by m and n, that simply means divisible by LCM. Divisible by LCM of m comma n. Okay, so you can see how many from 1 to b are divisible by m and n, that will be equal to b divided by, you find the LCM of m comma n and floor value. Okay, very simple. Also I told you that if you have two or more prime numbers, then finding LCM is very simple, you just have to multiply them. If you have two or more co-prime numbers, then finding LCM is very simple, you just have to multiply them. Now let's solve this question. So you can see from 1 to 500 both inclusive. So this range is already given to you from 1 to 500. How many are divisible by 3 or 5 or 7? So that will be equal to the formula we have already seen. I just let me just tell you how many will be divisible by 3. Okay, so you can see the number of integers that will be divisible by 3, that will be equal to 500 divided by 3 floor. How many will be divisible by 5? That will be equal to 500 divided by 5 floor. How many will be divisible by 7? That will be divisible by 7. That will be 500 divided by 7 floor. Okay. How many will be divisible by 3 comma 5 both? So we have to find the LCM. What is LCM of 3 comma 5? That is 15. Because 3 comma 5 both are prime numbers. The LCM of prime numbers, that is just multiplication. So you can see divisible by 15. How many are there? That will be 500 divided by 15 floor. Okay. Similarly, you can find how many are divisible by, how many will be divisible by 3 comma 7. So that will be equal to divisible by, what is the LCM? 3 comma 7 LCM, that is 21. So that will be 500 divided by 21. Okay, floor. We have again we have to take the floor. Next, you can see how many are divisible by 5 comma 7 both. So that will be 500 divided by, you take the LCM, the LCM of 5 comma 7, because both are prime number. So the LCM will be just multiply them. So that will be 35. Okay, so you take the floor. Okay, also we need to find how many will be divisible by 3 as well as 5 as well as 7. So here you need to find what will be the LCM. Remember 3 comma 5 comma 7 all are prime numbers. So the LCM of a list of prime numbers, that is just do the multiplication. So if you multiply them, that is 105. Yes or no? So divisible by 105, that will be equal to 500 divided by 105. Again you take the floor. Okay, so these are the values that we have found. Now after finding all these values, you can just find the answer. Your final answer will be, remember, single single plus double double minus triple triple plus, means your final answer will be this value plus this value plus this value minus double double minus this value minus this value minus this value and plus this value. That is going to be the answer for this GATE 2017 question. I hope you understood. Let's solve GATE 2006 question. What is the cardinality of the set of integers x defined below? This set x is given to you. We need to find the size, the cardinality of this x. So first of all, let's see what is this x here. You can see we have n, where n is from 1 to 123. N is not divisible by either 2, 3, 5. Okay. So actually the question is saying that this n should not be divisible by any of them. Okay. This from 1 to 123. We want those integers which are not divisible by any of them, 2, 3 or 5. You can see n is not divisible by 2 or 3 or 5. Okay. I want that integer which is not divisible by 2 and not divisible by 3 and not divisible by 5. This is what I want. Okay, read this statement. Very simple to understand that n is not divisible by 2, not divisible by 3, not divisible by 5. Okay, very simple. So here remember, neither divisible by 2 nor divisible by 3 nor divisible by 5. This is what we need. So that will be equal to total minus those which are either divisible by 2 or divisible by 3 or divisible by 5. Okay, so you can see either divisible by 2 or divisible by 5 or divisible by 7. Okay, so you can see the number of elements here, that will be equal to total minus number of elements here. Now to find this value, you can apply the inclusion exclusion principle, union of 3 set. Okay, so very easily we can apply the inclusion exclusion principle. Okay, so here you can see what this value will be? The total you already know, from 1 to 123. That is, total is 123 values. The question is asking, we need the size of x, means how many values are there. Remember, the size of x means how many values n are there from 1 to 123, which are not divisible by 2, not divisible by 3, and not divisible by 5. Basically, those values which are not divisible by any of them. So that will be equal to total, that is 123, minus which are divisible by at least one of them. Okay, so here you can just apply the formula, inclusion exclusion formula that you already know. So let me just write that formula here, the complete formula. Let me write it. That is like this: how many are divisible by 2, okay, plus how many are divisible by 5, how many are divisible by 7, single single, plus minus double double, minus how many are divisible by 2 comma 5, minus how many are divisible by 2 comma 7, minus, sorry, the question is 235. Okay, so it will be 235, 235. So it will be 235. Okay, so 235. Okay, very simple. Then double double, minus 25 minus 35. Okay, plus triple triple, plus means those which are divisible by 2 as well as 3 as well as 5. Okay, so you can see from total you remove this value, that will be the answer. Now here let me tell you some important points, that from 1 to b, how many are divisible by n, that is b divided by n floor, we have already seen. How many from 1 to b are divisible by m and n? Divisible by m and n simply means divisible by the LCM. Okay, so that will be b divided by, you find the LCM of m comma n. Okay, also, I told you that if you have two or more prime numbers, then finding LCM is very simple, just multiply them. If you have two or more co-prime numbers, then finding LCM is very simple, just multiply them. So here the final answer, that will be equal to total. Total is 123 minus, okay, minus what we need? We need divisible by 2 or divisible by 3 or divisible by 5, minus, you can see how many are divisible by 2. That will be equal to 123 divided by 2 floor. How many are divisible by 3? That will be 123 divided by 3 floor. How many are divisible by 5? That will be 123 divided by 5 floor. Okay, minus how many are divisible by 2 comma 3? So here you have to take the LCM. What is the LCM of 2 comma 3? That is 6. So that will be 123 divided by 6 floor. Minus how many are divisible by 2 comma 5? So you can see here you need to take the LCM. What is the LCM of 2 comma 5? That is 10. So here we need 123 divided by 10 floor, minus how many are divisible by 3 comma 5? So here you need to take the LCM, that is 15. So 123 divided by 15 floor, plus how many are divisible by 2 as well as 3 as well as 5? So here we have to take the LCM. What is the LCM of 2, 3, 5? All are prime numbers. So the LCM will be just multiplication, just multiply them. That will be the LCM. So that is 30. So you can see 123 divided by 30 floor. Okay, that's it. We have all the values. You can do plus minus something and you will get your answer. Very simple question. So this is our chapter, the inclusion exclusion principle. We have already seen. We have also seen the gate PYQs of inclusion exclusion principle. So I hope you understood each and every point, each and every gate PYQ we have done, the concept we have seen, the proof of the formula we have seen. This was a very simple topic. Okay, so thank you everyone. Please share your feedback in the comments. Thank you.